Welcome to another episode of Waves of Wisdom. In this episode, I'm going to talk with one of the prominent educators, lecturers from Sri Lanka, Dr. Ajantha Dharmasiri. He has been a friend of us for last couple of years, and we have spoken at a number of events together as well. And I am very pleased to bring you this episode all the way from Postgraduate Institute of Management, where he works. Welcome to the show, Dr. Ajay.
Thank you, Jas, for inviting me.
How have you been?
So far, so good.
Yeah. Dr. Ajantha, let's look at, I see you somebody who is very passionate about what you are doing and who has been actually carrying out, I think you have been teaching for a very long time, lecturing and teaching.
20 plus years.
All right. So how all this started?
Well, to begin with, just I would call myself a lifelong learner. I believe in learning from womb to the tomb. Every day is an opportunity for learning, and learning and living are inseparable with my view. So when you say I'm a teacher, I would qualify it more saying rather I would consider myself as a academic. Practitioner turned academic. So I was a practitioner before joining PIM as an academic, where I worked in the industry. I did my first degree in electrical engineering, and then I worked as a plant engineer, running a soap powder plant, and then slowly gravitated into training people, working with people, and I ended up being a HR professional. So I would say I'm someone who has transitioned from being an engineer of electrical to an engineer of arts and minds. I give short waves to people occasionally. So why I became a academic? Because while I was in the industry, I must say that I enjoyed doing it. I achieved results, I delivered results, and together we got our key performance indicators all right. But there was a yearning, inner desire to study more, to learn more. And so education became my passion. So of course my parents are both teachers. Perhaps my genes would have appealed to me to get back into more into learning and teaching. So I shifted from corporate world to the academia 20 years ago. So then thereafter, I would say when I started, my income reduced to half and my satisfaction doubled. But now, of course, things have moved in the right way. So these are all connected to what I call the purpose. Purpose-driven life, purpose-driven journey, purpose-driven purpose. So I coined my purpose 25 years ago and still live it. Every morning I begin my day with reciting the purpose to myself, which has really worked well in my life. So I coined my purpose as the first part was to be a radiator and reflector of positive energy by way of uh, knowing and sharing growth, fostering knowledge with human. And then continuing that, this is because to utilize the gifts I received from nature and nurture, unleashing the creativity in me with global reach and local touch. In doing so, I strengthen my leadership leverage, relationship richness, and ongoing learning journey. So this is how I have coined, and others, my mentors have helped me to define it, fine tune it, sharpen it, but I see the essence of it because I believe in excellence as essence.
What a wonderful way, isn't it, to know your purpose and live your purpose is one thing. And you have been doing that for last 20 years, as you mentioned. And reflecting even back further, uh, how were you as a child? Were you a very brilliant student, or were you interested? What were your first, everybody was, even when we were in school, we are asked by our teachers and parents what you would like to be when you grow up. What was the thing for you back then?
Maybe it's an interesting story. Yes.
Yeah.
I actually grew up as a student where the teachers saw the intelligence in me. I was just in the class most of the time. But one teacher mentioned that I'm more into books, but less into activity. So in a parent-teacher meeting, the teacher suggested me my parents to put me into more extracurricular activities. So there is a realization that it is not learning from books, you have to learn from people. So so I studied at St. Joseph's College, one of the leading Catholic schools in Sri Lanka. Then after grade 5, I joined Royal College, which is the largest secondary school in this part of the world, where in fact it was a realization that I'm getting into a multi-religious, multicultural, multinational group of students, which give me global exposure, I would say. And then from early childhood to recognize other people who are different and to respect other religions, respect other nationalities, respect other races. So in other words, to live in a diverse society and then to engage a diverse pool of people and then to respect and then while celebrating the individuality also to celebrate the diversity. I think that lesson I learned as a child is very much useful even now, where in management we talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, and those are becoming increasingly buzzwords in the business community. So I got that exposure. I'm very happy that my parents gave me that.
Wonderful. So, what was your greatest learning apart from working with diverse culture and diverse people? Apart from that, what was your key learning from getting involved with the extracurricular activities, and what were the kind of activities you were involved
Well, I was in a couple of societies. Like we had the General Knowledge Society, we had the Literature Society, we had some social services society where we went and helped the needy people in the world, in the society, in some difficult areas. So by doing all those things, I think one greatest learning, if I have to sum up, is that to uplift the humanity. And at the end of the day, just we are all human beings, even though some people try to be human doings or human undoings, but we should realize that we are human beings. So we are humans in different forms. So I think I represent the billions of humans around the globe, and then we should never lose that human touch. And even in the advent of artificial intelligence, even with the high-tech world, with all the digitalization helping our lives in making our lives better, I still advocate AI, EI harmony. Where you need to have that artificial intelligence together with emotional intelligence to be a balanced, harmonized, decent, dignified human being. So I say this with a lot of seriousness, just because I have seen technology as a versatile servant, but it can be a very volatile master. We need to we need to know how to get work done from technology. Otherwise, what happens? We might get enslaved by technology, and we might lose our human touch, and we might become so mechanical, so process-driven, and so self-centered, and we might lose that human touch. And we might forget our relationships, and we might forgo our friendships, and we will become loners and get trapped into a technological world.
I think this is a very important topic where even currently the people who are advocating for ethics of AI and things, they are saying to the AI should enable um, humans to become more human, isn't it?
Absolutely, AI is a great enabler. I think we need to use it as an enabler, not not engaging us into deviating from ethical to unethical. That's the danger.
Yes.
Because with versatility of AI, sometimes it's a temptation for us to be a little unethical. Because I've seen many creative work which are going below the ethical boundaries in terms of showcasing something which is not accepted in terms of nudity, in terms of certain literature which are not good. So those are all bad uses. But the good news is that there are better, good, decent users by majority mature people. So that AI has become a great enabler. But again, let me reiterate, still servant, not a master.
Yes, I think this is very important. And uh, even going back to your childhood and growing up years, um, did you envisage yourself to become a professor or lecturer?
Well, I would say I had the thirst for knowledge sharing. I had a thirst for teaching. I had a thirst for training. But looking at particular profile per se, there's a time where there's serious discussion about getting into a religious role, becoming a priest,
Okay.
because coming from a rural religious background, where we were close to the religious people, so that there was a invitation. But again, my parents felt that I need more formal studies rather than getting into a religious role. And then when I was growing up, I developed the interest on mathematics, and my mathematics teacher said, "You can be doing very well in engineering." So then I got into engineering. I would not say I had a fancy dream of one day becoming a sort of engineer or so. And then I enjoyed doing maths and then extended of that is engineering and so on, the logical thinking and the way of solving problems. Then I realized actually one eye opener was a personality assessment. This, to be precise, the MBTI, Myers-Briggs type indicator. So surprisingly, my profile was not necessarily engineering oriented. It was more people development.
Okay.
So I realized that even though I was studying engineering, I was excelling in that, I was doing well, but my inner learning and my potential was more towards people. So I realized in my first to give details, I joined Unilever, one of the Fortune 100 multinationals, as plant engineer. So I was running a soap powder plant, as I mentioned, and that was the time where they introduced total quality management. There was a foreign firm, consultant firm, came and they did a train the trainer program. So I was one of the young management trainees who were picked up as the trainers to be trained to train others.
Okay.
So I thoroughly enjoyed being trained to teach total quality management, TQA. And I was doing training on TQA. And it came to a point, and now in hindsight, I see that I can connect the dots. I was doing more training than running my plant.
Okay.
So the HR director at that time,
And you must be enjoying doing that, right?
absolutely.
At that time.
And then thankfully my training was very well received. And at one particular point of time, the HR director called me for a meeting and he said, would you like to have a career in HR? So I was surprised. Then I asked the question, "Yeah, how about my engineering chart?"
Yeah.
He smiled and said, "Do you want to be just another engineer or to have a road less traveled?" I always use this term, road less traveled. So I took that risky decision, shifting from hardcore engineering to people management, people development. So then training was the link between engineering to human resource management. Then I started exploring HR more. Then I did my PhD in strategic human resource management. I got a Commonwealth fellowship through MDSA, Association of Management Development Institutions in South Asia. MDSA fellowship enabled me to travel to India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, in addition to Sri Lanka, to do a four-country study in interviewing HR professionals and their respective CEOs and their colleagues in finance or marketing functions. So I call it strategic orientation of HR professionals in South Asia.
Yeah.
So I studied how they really excel and what are the bottlenecks, what are the constraints. And then it was a wonderful way of exploring South Asia, our neighbors. And because they say one-fifth of the world population is South Asia. So we are a humanly rich region.
Yeah.
So it gave me the opportunity to explore the humanly rich.
Exactly. And you mentioned about you were studying about the challenges and the in this area, right? So what were the main challenges you actually found during your studies?
Well, I point to the competency relationship and opportunity relationship. Sometimes the people are given the right slot, but they struggle to perform. Even though the organization was ready, the individual is not ready. So there's a competency gap. Either there's a knowledge gap, or there's a skill gap, or more often there's an attitude gap. So you are not really fitting, so the mindset is not geared. So there are gaps. On the other hand, I've seen many young, ambitious, talented, dynamic HR professionals who do not get the required opportunities. So there's an opportunity. So what happens is particularly at the board level, strategic level, C-suite positions, marketers are at an advantage. Finance people are at an advantage because they are doing number crunching more smartly. Whereas HR professional might do more with intangible stuff, more with stuff that that is difficult to quantify. So they get little less opportunity to get into board level. So in several boards that I serve today, I always make it a point that every board meeting there has to be a people focused discussion, HR presentation, the people factor we need to bring it to forefront. You know, we look at numbers, and we get engrossed in numbers and we say data driven decisions. But having said that, there is only the outcome, the deliverable. You can't have deliverables without drivers. So you need to have drivers, so people is a one key drive. So if you don't have proper drivers, you can't just focus on delivery. As Norton and Kaplan, when they coined the balance scorecard, they said you can't drive a car just looking at the rear mirror. You look at the front. So you have to ensure the enablers or the key drivers are in place in order to get the right deliver that is financial business. So the problem I see is just sometimes we overly focus on results without strengthening the enablers, the deliver. So people are affected, in my view, and thankfully one positive side of COVID, in my view, is that the growing realization of people factor came into the scene. The CEOs who were very much number oriented, finance oriented, realized that without people, we can't reach anything. Without people, I can't reach my goal. So people drive business. People deliver results. People are the most important resource in any organization.
100% agree with you, Professor Ajantha. And you have you have fallen in I would say fallen in love with this subject so much that you have written numerous books on human resource management and in related fields. How many books have you written up to now?
So far 10.
All right.
And I'm working on my 11th book right now. They are all revolving to one common factor. I would call it people focus, people development, people engagement, people involvement for future. So of late, my pet area has been leadership. Being a leader of the largest business school in Sri Lanka for almost 7 years, I realized it's the authenticity that matters. You can read books, you can look at theories, you can study leadership.
You can use ChatGPT.
Absolutely. Technology is helping you, AI is helping you, but real acid test is how you put that into action as a real. So I had that rare opportunity, being the youngest leader of the largest postgraduate institute in Sri Lanka, postgraduate institute of management, which gave us, which gave me and my team a wonderful opportunity. I still remember the day that I started working as, first they made me acting leader. They were not sure whether I survived, but I determined to be an active leader rather than acting leader. So I told my team in the very first meeting, if I succeed, all of us will be successful. If I fail, it's a failure of all of us. So it is not me, it's we. I don't want me to be an individual superstar. I want us to be a galaxy of superstars. So the mindset of developing a great team rather than me being a great leader was in my mind. So I have read that great leader is a leader when the team says we did it ourselves. So I want to empower my team. And the acidic test was we developed 6 international study groups: Dubai, Doha, Qatar, Muscat, Oman, Malaba, Bahrain, Kuwait City, Kuwait, and Dhaka, Bangladesh. So I was traveling almost twice a month to those destinations, and I didn't have to bother calling hourly to Colombo office to see how things are going. I need not to micromanage it, but things are how things are very good. So I realized that you can't grow until you have that freedom, until you have that mental freedom to think and act strategy. If you get bogged down into mere petty operational matters, you want to take every decision, and then you become a micromanager. If you become a micromanager, you can never grow. So I realized that. So we did a lot of things during that 7 years together. So hats off to my great team. And I always used to say, if everything goes well, you take the credit. If something goes wrong, I will take it because I'm your lead. That's the authenticity that I want to be on.
I think that's a great example of how how a great leader could be, and by knowing you for some time, and then also today is my first visit to PIM, and I have seen how you interact with the staff, the team members, and everything. I think I can vouch for that. You are practicing what you preach. How important it is for actually leaders. You mentioned that some people micromanage. And if they micromanage, they can't grow. Leadership is a very, again, an area which I am also very passionate about because as John Maxwell famously says, everything rises and falls on leadership. So this is an area which I am also exploring, especially which I call global leadership. And you already touched that term growth. So, what are the other factors other than not micromanaging are necessary for somebody to become a growth leader or to grow as a leader?
Well, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Yes. I would say the only leadership that survives storm is the leadership. We are in a turbulent world, topsy-turvy world. Storm is always around us. So how do we move ahead, forging ahead with a proper way of doing things? I would say the starting point is the vision. Leaders should become dreamers. And as about this is it. You can dream it, you can do it. You can dream it, you can do it. I always admire Dr. Abdul Kalam, former president of India, who said, dreams are not what you see when you are asleep. Dreams are what makes you to stay awake and to work. I see the fascination in that. So dreams will make you awake and excited and motivated to achieve results. So you have to be a dreamer. And the challenge is that you just said, see the people stop there. Then you become a mere daydream. You have to wake up from the dream and achieve the dream and ensure that dream is delivered. That's tough. First step is easy. Second step is tough. You have to deliver the dream. There you have to have a plan. So that is you need passion. Because vision is passion. Your heart should be there. There should be a compelling reason, a burning desire, a fire within to go. Great leaders who have excelled around the globe have always had that fire within, that desire. So I will call it passion, heart fully into action.
Yeah.
So vision, passion, the third thing is action. Actions bring results. So execution matters. I've seen excellent ideas just fade away without execution. So that's where corporates fail. That's where institutions fail. That's where teams fail. But I think leader should be a proper executor. So proper checks and balances in place. So it's not micromanaging, but ensure that things are happening in the way it is planned, happening in the way it is intended, happening in the way it is desired, having the proper checks and balances. So in that journey, I've seen it as many leaders fail when they forget progressively. You need to review the progress. Plan, do, check. PDCA is so simple to say, but so difficult to do.
Yeah.
It's not just planning. We have to do and check whether it's happening the right way, and then ensure that if it is going away from the track, to put it back on track, and the course correction needs to be attended. That's something absolutely necessary. So I know some leaders, very reputed leaders, when you go and talk to them, and they appreciate your idea, and they buy your idea, and they call someone and share the idea and say, "Can you do this?" And that's the end of the story. They never follow. I think the key place is following up to the end to ensure that the desired result is achieved. So that's why execution is absolutely essential.
I think that is a very methodical way of step-by-step approach you have. So, how, Professor Aditya, where in the context of leadership, where the you mentioned about the passionate is important, following up is important, and all these things are important. Where in this context, where does or how important the purpose becomes?
That's very interesting. Yes, I think purpose is the new chip in the block.
Mm.
Where earlier we talked about vision and mission. Now we broadly use purpose.
Yeah.
And again, from sustainability point of view, taking care of today's need without compromising the future. That's sustainability. Sustainability, we talk about making profits, taking care of people, and looking after the planet. So profit, people, planet, and the overarching purpose. The reason for what you are doing, as to why you are doing what you are doing. The purpose. I think purpose is becoming increasingly important. That's why I remember this story of Albert Einstein when he was traveling in a train and the ticket checker came and checked his ticket and he could not find it. And the ticket checker said, "Don't worry, sir. We know you have taken a ticket." And he went away, but Albert Einstein was still searching for the ticket. And the ticket checker got upset and came back and started apologizing. Albert Einstein said, "Don't worry, young man. Why I am searching for the ticket is I don't know where I'm going. My destination is in the ticket." So if you don't know where we are heading, we will end up nowhere, like in Alice in Wonderland. So purpose gives us a sense of direction, sense of meaning, sense of obligation that we are on a track. So we need to follow that track. We need to pursue that direction.
Yeah. It's very important. I think a lot of leaders today or even individuals have not identified their purpose, why we are here and why we are doing what we are doing, right? So it is, as you mentioned, it is very important. It gives us the direction and everything. So now you earlier also mentioned your purpose in your life. So you also mentioned about some kind of metrics or test which you used. Can you tell someone who is trying to actually identify, who is struggling? I think this is a struggle with a lot of people as well. They are actually not, the question comes, how can I identify my purpose? So when will they realize this is my purpose?
Well, that's a very interesting question. Yes. I always, whenever I meet teenagers, particularly some parents used to bring their A-level pass children because they are confused, they don't know what path they should take after their advanced level examination.
Yeah.
So I always ask the simple question, what are you good at? Where are you unique?
Mhm.
The strength discovered. This is where we don't do sometimes. We go on a hype, we go on a trend, everyone following this program. I also should do this. Everyone is going for that thing like a fancy fad. So I'm also going to do that. No. My simple question is, what is your uniqueness? Because it's just the realization that we are all unique in the universe. There's no other me in the whole universe. There's no other you in the whole universe.
Yes.
I can say this comfortably until scientists come up with a human clone. But they're still struggling with sheep to get a clone. So for them to have a human clone, it will take ages. Till then, they can comfortably say, I'm unique. So I think we need to celebrate our uniqueness. The problem with that is there is a psychological issue. We always compare with others. I don't have this thing like that one. I don't have that thing like this one. So we all compare and become miserable. So comparison make us sad, bad, and mad. So I think there's nothing to compare. I really like some great cricketers who used to say, me today as a cricketer should be better than me yesterday. And me tomorrow as a cricketer should be better than me today. So it's a continuous improvement, Kaizen in Japanese.
Yeah.
So we don't realize that. So I think starting point is that discover your uniqueness. Take, I always take the example of Muthiah Muralidharan as the greatest spinner in cricketing world so far. And see, so he openly says he doesn't know how to operate a computer.
Yeah.
He openly says he doesn't. he has not been operating a laptop. So that would not reduce the greatness of the greatest bowler that the world has seen.
Exactly.
But he realized his uniqueness and he pursued that with passion and he became world class.
Yeah.
So if we had tried to do IT, we would have been just another IT person.
Yeah.
So we should discover our uniqueness. That is starting. Then turn it a dream, aspiration, desired future. So this is what I'm good at. So how can I position myself with that goodness in order to move forward? The second. The third thing is very, very important. Commitment. No worthwhile endeavor is possible without commitment. I've seen a lot of people very knowledgeable, very talented, but they're not committed. They're lazy. They're not willing to go that extra mile. And they're not a committed. They just get stuck in the same level. So you need to have commitment. The fuel that drives that journey is commitment. No commitment, no future. So this, particularly the new generation, true enough, you need to enjoy life, you need to have a balance, you need to have harmony, but do not undervalue the commitment. Do not underestimate the power of dedication, working smart. So we can't have shortcuts. Some of the students I meet with in the recent past, sometimes they ask the easiest way of doing things, shortest way of doing things, the fastest way of doing things, and they might get the certificate, but whether they have gone through that transformation, pretty much.
I think this is very important message and wisdom that you have shared relating to purpose and staying focused and commitment is very important. And I 100% agree with you when it relates to the uniqueness. I think this is one area even is sometimes the current generation parents are also struggling. They want to get their child to go with the crowd rather than finding their passion or their purpose or their uniqueness. And this is a question even from like childhood I had. Why things which I like, somebody else might not like, or somebody else, oh, why this uniqueness? I think this unique, God created us as unique beings. Uh, in the bigger spectrum of human beings in unique ways. So we can actually give our uniqueness to the world and build on it so we can serve the humanity. Because I think the human race is not complete without everyone together, right? Individually, we can do so much less, but together only we complete as a human race, right?
I mean, simply TEAM, together everyone achieves more. So that's where teams are for. And then you look at the five fingers. They're different,
Yeah,
but they're all part of one hand.
yeah.
So each finger has its uniqueness, but they are all together. And so we need to have that understand unity in diversity.
Mm.
So when I say celebrate unity and again recognize others' unity, rather than competing, collaborate. Collaborative mindset is absolute. So we is far, far greater than me. That mindset has to be there. And also it does. I would say, as I mentioned, when you discover your uniqueness, celebrate that activity. When you begin the day, when you wake up, celebrate that uniqueness. I'm having a day to fulfill my purpose. I'm unique. That celebration goes a long way.
Yeah.
Why I say this? Sometimes people might ask me, you are enthusiastic, you said to be a dreamer, and then what I would say, as I think Abraham Lincoln said some time ago, um, plan as if you are going to live for 100 years, but live as if you are going to live only today.
That's a wonderful saying.
Plan as if you are going to live for 100 years, but live as if you are going to live only today. So that's why we say present. It's a present. It's a gift.
Yes.
So don't underestimate the value of present today. Today is so important. So don't waste it. Invest it for tomorrow. That's where we need to celebrate life. Every moment matters. Every moment is a cherishing moment. Now you and me having this wonderful podcast. We have planned it for such a long time. So it's very nice to see how the destiny has connected to us. So this where you have to celebrate precious moments. So live the day meaningfully and and at the same time, don't lose your track on your path, your progress, your performance. That
So, Ajantha, in my this podcast series, as I mentioned you earlier, I'm talking about something called becoming unretired. Uh, what does unretired mean to you?
that's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
And again, to have a target and to pursue that, I remember I wanted to get my MBA before the age of 30. Then I want to be an engineer before the age of 25. I got that. I want to be a MBA before the age of 30. Then I got my PhD before the age of 40. I became a professor before the age of 50. And I became the first homegrown senior professor in this institute before the age of 60. And then, of course, few more dreams that I'm pursuing right now. So when you have those dreams, the timelines. Sometimes timelines might work, timelines might not work, but at least having the goalpost is whether you reach it exactly, precisely to the dot might be there. Whether we are changing, will be at a different time. But at least having a goalpost is good in my view. And also it has to be realistic. And again, I have realized perhaps over time with ups and downs in my life, when you go wrong, you right. Success is not the only thing. Success, I would say, more than success is significance. How you live a significant life. So success is not necessarily
Success
achieving
can be different for different people as
different
well.
people. So it's not just finance. It can be earning people, it can be leading people, it can be having mature relationships, it can be having a successful family life. So I think being significant covers the financial dimension and many more non-financial dimensions. Sometimes we know. I was just listening to a passionate professional who was talking about 10x growth. You need to go for 10x growth. You can't have incremental improvement. You need to go for that giant leap. True enough. But at what cost?
Yes.
At what cost? Not certainly at the cost of losing your relationship,
Your health.
your health. And I was interested, I was doing some training for a leading IT firm. And they had a nice post in their living room which said, you sacrifice your health to gain wealth, and you use that wealth to regain health. Is that interesting?
Yeah, that has been the trend. I think.
Yes, we do a lot of things. We get
Yes.
money,
Yeah, we
and
do all
in the
this.
process we neglect our health, and it strikes back, and we have to use the wealth that we have gained to regain the health. So don't get into that trap. You have balance.
Yeah.
I'm given a choice, I prefer the word harmony more than the word balance. You need to have harmony, inner harmony, outer. Inner harmony means your mind, body, and soul, heart. Inner. Outer harmony means your work, family, and society. So you can't ignore your family. Family first. There's this story about people throwing rubber balls up and down, and among them there's a last ball. So they mistakenly threw it up and it got shattered. The family is your glass ball that you have in your hand. So fragile. So family first in my view because your lasting relationships, caring partnerships, and your exemplary guidance as parents to your children. We have children, we don't have children, other children. Then family is a beautiful one. So we need to have that loving, caring, mutually valuing relationships. And again, second one is nature, getting connected to nature. I'm a fan of just blue and green.
Yeah.
Blue is water, green is nature.
Yeah. I guess you can say that my favorite color is also blue.
Absolutely. So what
When
happens
I think
is
movies, you see blues all around, right?
exactly the sky and the earth and the greenery because we need to be nature lovers, we need to be nature preservers, we need to be nature protectors. As famous Red Indian or Native American leader Seattle said, nature does not belong to us, we belong to the nature. So we don't have any right to destroy nature. We by default are part of nature. We have to preserve nature and always uphold nature. So I think that's one way of ensuring sustainability next. So the latest term is ESG, environmental societal governance. How do we govern the environmental societal aspects? taking care of people, taking care of the planet. It's extremely important. The current day and time, a leader cannot ignore these things. Leader cannot overlook these things. If you want to be a future-focused leader, sustainable-oriented leader, you need to look at nature. You need to look at way to protect nature, preserve nature, and promote natural ways of doing.
Yeah. So, Professor Ajantha, I think in very broadly you have mentioned how somebody when they become unretirable, what their mindset should be, right? Because becoming unretirable is also about having this kind of mindset of giving back to the nature, giving back to the society, being sustainable, and being part of the society and everything. What is that you do to upkeep your health and your wellness and your spirituality and all those things which are related to you? I would say you are somebody who is unretirable now. So to maintain that, what do you do on a daily basis?
And I think it's challenge.
Yeah.
Sometimes prioritize. So physical fitness, mental sharpness, emotional maturity, spiritual soundness. These are the four dimensions. I would say which are east and west equally highlighted, appreciated. If you look at the religious texts, you see that. If you look at the Western research, you see that. So physical fitness.
Yeah.
I used to go on a walk every other day or do some yoga at least twice a week. Some kind of way of engaging physically. Sometimes I consciously keep my car at home and I walk and then I use public transport to get that physical uh, exposure. And then mental sharpness. You should never stop learning. You should never uh, ignore the analytical stuff. So you need to sharpen your mind. So they say logical left and measurable right. So mental and emotional natural again this is a continuous struggle where sometimes you have negative emotions which come up and will clutter you and make you really confused. So you need to watch out for your negative emotion and foster your positive, being positive, cheerful all the time.
Yeah.
I always like high energy, high positive leaders because they convey that, they radiate that positivity. If you look at Mahatma Gandhi's photos, there's a smiling Mahatma.
Yes.
So that energy is radiated through a smile, through the way of you communicating with him. And then spiritual side. I being by birth, I'm a Roman Catholic, so I'm Christian, but I respect all other religions. So I was born and bred in a Buddhist environment. So the country I'm staying is predominantly Buddhist. So Buddhism talks about non-violence. Then I have great respect to Islam. I have a lot of great friends in Islam. So all great religions, all great leaders, Buddha, Jesus Christ, Prophet Muhammad, Hindu gurus, they all preach something to be good, something to be something how you should be good. So I think all religions show us the right way of living, the right path to uh, path of um, living in the right way. So I am a firm believer that if you practice your religion, you will never insult other religions. You respect other religions. You see the harmony. You see the similarities. You see the way different people are following different paths, but finally might lead to the one ultimate truth.
Yeah. I think, yeah, these aspects are so important when somebody becomes unretirable and they are trying to live a life of purpose and with passion. And also another important aspect what I have come across is actually the longevity and being healthy and to give back this what you have to the society at large. And one of the aspects a lot of people talks about is actually being socially connected, belonging to a society, or that sense of belonging as a community. These are very important aspects as well. What do you think about it?
Absolutely, no second thoughts. Because as they often say, your network leads your network.
Yes.
Sometimes in Sri Lankan context, I've seen sometimes when I go to a funeral house, plenty of mosquitoes. No people. Because they have been isolated. They have been living an isolated life and no friends, no social contacts. They have been rich but very lonely in contrast. And I go to some funerals. It's even if you pay the last respect, there are long queues. People have come to pay the respect to their beloved friend, to the beloved social work. That's why you need to earn. You need to develop your relationships, foster your friendships. Because we are not individuals. I mean, we are not isolated library towers. We need to be integrated, connected. I think connections are extremely important. The human beings are meant to be connected with one another.
Yes.
For example, marriage is one of the great way of connecting. But again, building friendships. As Dale Carnegie long time ago said, how to build friends and influence people is an absolute necessity for anyone to succeed in
It's
life.
beautiful.
Yes, amazing, repeated messages. So what happens? The leader has to inspire, influence, and initiate. So you can't be a leader without connection. So coming back to the main theme of travel, I have one special observation.
Yeah, yeah.
Even though you say I'm retired, that doesn't mean that you want to live forever. That's again. And some people they try to have age defining moisturizers, age defining creams, age defining way of changing your hair and so on. I personally, I don't have any objections, but my personal view, the way to face the reality.
Yes.
Now, my point is that even if I die tomorrow, I'm happy that I have done my best to the world up to now. So every day, celebrate the day, live every day as last day. So then you have no regrets. You have no, and there's nothing to prevent you wholeheartedly looking at the future.
Mm.
So rather than having an age, for example, at least it's not the years in your life that matters. It's the life in your years that matters.
Okay. What does that mean? Can you
That
elaborate a
means,
little bit
say,
about
for example, my son passed away at the age of 13. So, 8th of August, because I remember. So yesterday I was yesterday, 9 years have gone. So he lived only 30 years, but he was well loved by it. And he became prefect in the school, and he was such a multi-talented child. And of course, there was a brittle asthmatic attack, and then still it's a medical mystery what happened in 3 days. But having said that, he had lived 30 years fully, meaningfully, as a role model. So it is not the number of years in your life that matters, it's the life in your years.
that matters? Yeah.
So rather than trying to defy your death by 10 years, some say I want to live 100 years, 110 years, 115 years, I beg to differ.
Mm.
I would say it's not the quantity of time, it's quality of time.
Yeah.
How much you contribute to the society. So my manager mentor, late Professor Ajantha, who was the director of this great institution for 6 years, and he died at the age of 61. It's a, it's a, I believe that we are all sad and tomorrow is his 10th remembrance. But having said that, his books are still marvelous. We still see him in his contributions,
Yes.
the way he has built marketing models. There are people like that at the same time. Philip Kotler, the marketing guru, he celebrated 94 years. Few months ago, and we had a celebration where she lively got connected and spoke.
No.
Still having energy, vibrancy at the age of 94. So it's a paradox.
Mm.
Some people die young, some people die old. So both okay. So as far
But
as
as you mentioned, I think it is not the number of years you live, it is or number of years in your age which matters, but how you live those years, isn't it?
it's not a duration but a donation.
Yes.
Donation to the society. Your contribution to the society. How much you live as a fitting example. How you become a role model to your students in the society. How you become a leader, building others as a true leader creator. So time will help. Time will give you more opportunities, but at the same time, we should not be overly worried about.
Yes.
So the mindset should be even if I have to die tomorrow, I'm ready.
Mm.
Ready that mindset, which will leave the worry away, which will take your unnecessary fear of death. So live every day meaningfully as if it's your last day. Celebrate every moment. Live life as an exclamation, not as an explanation.
I think that's a beautiful message and a beautiful way to even end this podcast. But before we go towards end, apart from writing this book on leadership, and what are your other plans?
Well, now I'm more and more thinking about my family, my daughter, her future, my wife, as a family, what we're going to do, how can we become more socially involved, and then how can I do more for the education system in the country, moving beyond business school mindset, get into more the national education system in the country, and then in other terms, I'm involved in some spiritual circles, as a spiritual preacher, and my wife always challenges me. You have to practice how to preach, and then you have that balance in terms of you can't preach without practicing, and then getting into other avenues like more social work, more environmental consciousness. Now I'm a great fan of sustainability, and I put up EV panels, solar energy, and then I shifted my car to a EV, and then that's also like a practicing the philosophy that I'm believing in, and also to show that I'm physically also I'm challenging myself to move out lethargy and get more involved in physical endurance and so on. So with the aging, sometimes you need to keep your body also always awakened, and then smartness has to be maintained. So those are all challenges because we all having just 24 hours.
Yes.
You and me can't extend it at least by 1 second. So within the 24 hours constraint or the limited given opportunity, how can we do all those things?
Yeah.
Simple word is prioritize. Prioritize. You have to forego something which is not very well. It's the only way to save time for something quality valuable in activity. So the challenge that I see and challenge many of us see is that we don't know how to prioritize.
Yes.
So it's not time management, it's
Yeah.
mind management.
Exactly. Prioritizing is all about mind management. And one thing I observe from your discussion as well as your life is actually aligning what you preach and what you believe is even as a lecturer, as a professor in our circle, for example, professional speakers, we can go and beautifully speak with a lot of energy about something as important as sustainability, but uh, very few people I see are actually aligning that what they are actually live with what they do. How important it is to align this, and what is that feeling when you are able to.
Absolutely, because that's a must in my view. Otherwise, we have to practice how to preach,
Yeah.
we have to dance the dialogue, we have to walk the. Otherwise, people will not take you seriously. You become just a mere politician with verbal dialogue. So the challenges, I think in
You
Christian,
use a word which some people might not understand.
the verbal
Verbal
diarrhea.
diarrhea.
In other words, you
Totally
keep on
understand.
talking. You just avoid words.
All right.
The point is that it's not what you say, it's what you do matters a lot. People look at you, what you do. And again, St. Augustine, another great saint in Catholic literature, he says, you need to preach. If needed, use words.
Yeah. Okay.
You need to preach. If needed, use words. That means your life has to be a preaching.
Yeah.
The way you
By
live,
example, you should live by
exactly.
example.
The way you do things, the way you conduct yourself throughout the day, that's your preaching. If needed, use words.
Yes.
But we have taken it other way around. We keep on talking and expect people to believe what you say. And when you don't do that, you become a hypocrite. You become a double game player, which should not be. Leaders, in my view, current day and the biggest challenge to be authentic. Authentic leaders are high in demand. We try to put a facade and show to the world that we are true leaders, we are great leaders, we are mighty leaders, but inside we know. Look at the famous political figures who are always shown in media. And if you discover who they truly are, they are not so-called heroes.
Mm. Exactly. This is something which a lot of societies suffer from today. I think, Professor Ajantha, we are coming towards an end of our podcast today. Is there's The theme of our podcast was the waves of wisdom. Is there any piece of advice, wisdom which you have gathered over so many years of experience and learnings and teaching, which you like to share to the young people of today?
So I think again I'm a lifelong learner, have the mindset of learning, giving, loving, and leading. So always learn, love, lead, and then you live meaningfully.
So
So
four
four
L's.
L's. Four L's.
So
So
thank you
thank you
very
very
much,
much,
Professor
Professor
Ajantha,
Ajantha,
being on my show. It's really a pleasure. We have been talking about recording this episode for a long time, from Maldives to Malaysia, where we met even last time. I think after all, it is happening at the right place at the right time. Yeah, and you are postgraduate Institute of Management in Sri Lanka. Thank you very much for being on my show. I'd love to have you some other time and to talk about once your book is out, maybe I'm sure there will be so much learnings, and it's always so fascinating and interesting to talk to you as well. So thank you.
my pleasure, and all the best to your waves of wisdom.
Thank you. And for my viewers, until we come back next time, uh, don't forget to follow the four L's which Professor Ajanta has just mentioned. So always keep learning, always keep living and loving and leading with passion and energy and authenticity, as he just mentioned. Until we come back next time, don't forget to ride the waves of wisdom and don't forget to be awesome. Thank you.